31, adequate notice of this regular meeting of the Planning Board of the Township of Franklin has been provided. If everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Here comes Ted for the roll call.
Timing is everything.
Councilman Chase,
Here.
Carl Hauk,
Here.
Alex Gazzari,
Here.
Cecile MacGyver.
Here.
Mr. Mansoray called, he's not able to make it. Robert Mettler,
Here.
Robert Thomas,
Here.
Jennifer Ragnow.
Here.
Godwin Amalala.
Just say Godwin.
Yeah. Was I close?
9/10.
Close enough. Chairman Orsini.
Here. So, minutes, we'll do them in order there. Regular meeting of February 3rd, 2016.
Move to approve.
Second.
Councilman Chase. Yes. Carl Hauk,
Yes.
Alex Gazzari,
Yes.
Cecile MacGyver.
Yes.
Robert Mettler,
Yes.
Robert Thomas,
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Chairman Orsini.
Yes. Minutes from the executive session of February the 17th.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
in my packet, I thought we also had the regular minutes of the 17th, as well as the executive.
Yes, they are, that is true. Well, then, in that case, why don't we do them since we have them? Can we do that, Mark? We do, it does say regular meeting February 17th, so.
And we're both the executive and the regular meeting, they were both in your packet?
Yes.
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 Okay. I see no reason why you can't vote on both.
Do we have to do them separately, or can we do them as one?
I think, we usually do them separately.
Then let's keep with our practice if we do them separately.
All right. Okay, so then I'll, do the regular meeting for February.
I'll move to approve the regular session of February 17th.
Second.
Councilman Chase? Yes. Carl Hauk?
Yes.
Alex Gazzari?
Yes.
Cecile MacGyver?
Yes.
Robert Mettler?
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow?
Yes.
And Chairman Orsini.
Yes. And now we'll do the executive
Okay,
session.
move to approve the executive session of February 17th.
Second.
Councilman Chase? Yes. Carl Hauk?
Yes.
Alex,
Karazi.
that's your last name, Karazi.
Karazi, that's all right. Yes.
Cecile MacGyver, I don't do this
Yes.
much, so, not a practice. Robert Mettler?
Yes.
Robert I'm sorry, I can't vote. Jennifer Ragnow?
Yes.
And Chairman Orsini.
Yes. Regular meeting, March 2nd.
Move to approve.
Second.
Councilman Chase? Yes. Carl Hauk?
Yes.
Alex Karazi?
Yes.
Cecile MacGyver?
Yes.
Robert Mettler?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Chairman Orsini.
Yes. And last but not least, regular meeting, March 16th.
Move to approve.
Second.
Councilman Chase? Yes. Alex Karazi?
Yes.
Cecile MacGyver?
Yes.
Robert Mettler?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Chairman Orsini.
Yes. Okay, so resolutions, we have PLN 15-00004, Canal Walk.
You can take that one.
Oh, that's right. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Councilman Chase? Yes. Carl Hauk?
Yes.
Alex Karazi?
Yes.
Robert Mettler?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Chairman Orsini.
Yes. Estate of Mary Piersante, PLN 15-00005, extension of time.
Move to approve.
Second.
Councilman Chase? Yes. Alex Karazi?
Yes.
Cecile MacGyver?
Yes.
Robert Mettler,
Yes.
Robert Thomas,
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
and that's it.
VGS Holdings, PLN 15-00008.
Move to approve.
Second.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Carl Hauk,
Yes.
Alex Karazi,
Yes.
Cecile MacGyver,
Yes.
Robert Mettler,
Yes.
Robert Thomas,
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow,
Yes.
Chairman Orsini.
Yes. Retainers again. So next is the discussion section. So vouchers, we can do the retainers together. So Clarkin and Vignulo PC, April retainer, $833.33, and the May retainer of $833.33.
I would move payment of the vouchers.
Second.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Carl Hauk,
Yes.
Alex Karazi,
Yes.
Cecile MacGyver,
Yes.
Robert Mettler,
Yes.
Robert Thomas,
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Chairman Orsini.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Extension of time. Do we have anybody representing?
Doesn't look like it. I don't know the details. Usually the people are represented every single time, so if they're not here, I would suggest we put them off to another meeting. I'm not sure what the
right.
details of these applications are.
I'm not either, so why don't we just table those for now? And we'll go to public comments.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that the meeting be open to the public for comments on anything except for item 11, which has its own public hearing.
Move, second the motion.
I'm sorry, item 9.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody from the public wishing to speak on any matter?
Seeing no one coming forward, I move to close the public session.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, hearings. Old Georgetown Road, open space subdivision.
I'm going to do a very brief presentation because the application is pretty straightforward. This is a property that's located in the RR5 zone. This is Georgetown Franklin Turnpike. This is Old Georgetown Road. It is approximately about 52 acres in size, give or take. The site currently consists of 3 lots. This is existing lot 18.03. This is existing lot 25. And then over here is existing lot 24.02. The proposal, this is an open space, what we've been calling an open space subdivision over the years, where the purpose of this subdivision is the purchase of the 2 lots that are highlighted in green for open space. This is the township has been working with DNR Greenway, as well as obviously the owners of the property, to acquire this area, which is new lot 25.01, and that's 44.5 acres. And also this new lot 18.12, which is 2 and change. The owners, the existing owners, are going to retain this lot that's highlighted in orange. That's a 6.678 parcel. It has the existing house, shed, driveway, et cetera, and they're going to retain this property. It's before you for a number of reasons, well, really 2 main reasons. One is because it's a subdivision of land, and also because there are a few variances that result. One is that the existing lot doesn't have sufficient frontage. 200 feet is required. 75 feet is existing. That's not proposed to change. It's an existing situation, but a variance is required nonetheless. And then there's an existing garage that's located within the required setback. And again, that situation's not changing, but nonetheless, it's a variance situation. And then this proposed lot 18.12 is 2.5 acres, or 2.278 acres in size, where 5 acres is technically required for a building lot, and it also has no frontage. but it's not, a building lot, it's for open space, and it's going to be adjoining, this is land owned by DNR Land Trust, this is open space owned by the county of Somerset. So part of the proposal was the township wants this piece of land because there's a plan for trail connections going through, and that trail connection wouldn't be possible unless we have that piece of land, because it connects these two existing open space parcels. So that's the presentation. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Any questions of the board?
In the comments, did I read something about the septic system hasn't been located, or was that?
Yeah, that's one of the things that they have to do.
I mean,
we
we're
have to-
we're sure we're not taking the septic system and putting it on another piece.
That's exactly why we wanted to confirm it.
Okay.
They do have an approximate location. Same thing, the same comment was offered, I believe, with respect to the well. We need them to confirm that. One of the reasons, not only do you not want the wells on, or septic on somebody else's property, you also want to make sure it's not on our property. So they need to confirm that.
And so I assume that'll be done before the subdivision is perfected.
Yeah, what I would suggest, if the board approves it, it would be a condition of that, and
Yeah.
they would have to do it before it's filed, yes.
Sounds good. Any other questions?
No.
Well, seeing none, I would make a proposal to approve, or motion to approve. Oh, yeah, right,
Conditional.
sorry. Wait a minute, we have to open to the public, I
public,
forgot.
yeah.
Motion to open to the public on this application.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is open to the public on this application.
Seeing no one coming forward, move to close to the public.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now I could.
Motion to approve with the condition that the septic system and the well meet the proper setbacks.
Yeah, if I could suggest amendment to that, that it be subject to the TRC report. There are a few other technical things that need to be worked out.
All right, subject to the TRC report.
Second.
Who seconded? Okay.
Alex.
So I just want to tally who can vote. Okay, Councilman Chase?
Yes, I would further say I've scaled on the map, and the nearest point of my property is 212 feet from the nearest point of the subject property, so I think I can vote on this.
Carl Hauk?
Yes.
Alice Karazi?
Yes.
Seal MacGyver?
Yes.
Robert Mettler?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
Chairman Orsini?
Yes. So now we go to work session and new business, and so we have two items, Hamilton Street parking and the lighting ordinance. So Mark, I assume.
Well, the first thing is Hamilton Street parking. Staff doesn't have anything prepared. I mean, I think the purpose of having it on the work session was so the planning board, over the last few months, during the master plan and ordinance, and then even during, there were some issues, or some questions, I should say, or concerns raised about parking as part of the applications. So it's
That the
it's my understanding that
developers-
the planning board wanted to discuss
Yeah,
the issue and to see what, if anything, you might want to do about it.
yeah. So when will you have like the information for us so that we can discuss it? I think
Well, I'm not sure
what
what
we
it
asked for was like how much is in the fund, how much does one need to contribute per space? That was one of Seal's questions, I think. What's in the fund now? What's anticipated? I mean, based on projections, I guess, to figure out whether we would need to, raise it. Of course, we don't want to make it too burdensome for business, but I think we agreed we had a pretty poor understanding of what the parameters were. And then I think secondly, we also wanted to understand what it is that the money is currently envisioned being used for. If not securing like a municipal lot, what kind of street improvements and parking improvements does it actually pay for? So I think that's what the board needs to have a discussion. And so I would be hoping that it wouldn't be too much longer before we could get that information and have it at our work session.
One more point.
Yeah.
One more point. The whole idea of this fund was to be able to buy land for parking lots, but keep in mind, Hamilton Street is a very long street. And if people don't want to walk more than a couple blocks from where they've parked their car, particularly in bad weather, to their parking lot, that would mean you'd have to have a situation similar to Somerville, where they have about a block off Main Street, a string of parking lots paralleling Main Street all along there, so that you don't have to walk more than a couple blocks. That's not feasible in Franklin on Hamilton Street. So by saying you're gathering funds to buy a parking lot, 2 parking lots, even 3, isn't going to do it for a street as long as Hamilton Street.
Well, I think we can put something together to have a meaningful discussion, but I think, and one of the things we're going to have to discuss is that Hamilton Street, that the parking plan, to the degree that it exists, is fundamentally different than Somerville, in that, when you look at an aerial of Somerville, you see that basically none of the developments have their own parking on site. All of the parking needs are met through public spaces that are behind the buildings
Yes.
and the parking on the street. That's how that, probably because that's, an older area. It developed before cars, horse and buggy. Literally, that's how older downtowns developed. So there wasn't the requirement to have a sea of parking in the back of your buildings. The plan for Hamilton Street is fundamentally different than Somerville in that we are requiring each of the developments to have a substantial amount of parking. I mean, the 3 developments that are before the planning board and the one before the zoning board collectively have, and we can provide these numbers to you, but in excess of 300 parking spaces. That's not what goes on in downtowns like Somerville. And each of the developments is going to have a building in the front, and some of them 75. I think one of them is over 100 parking spaces in the back that meet their residential needs on site. And then those spaces are available in a shared parking arrangement for the customers, and this is one of the things we've been working out with each of those developers for, the customers that are going to the retail, the employees of the retail. Again, this is a parking supply that's going to be provided that's not in situations like Somerville. So I say all that to basically say it's going to be extremely hard in 2016 for us to understand if there's going to be a parking problem, where that parking problem may exist, if it's to such a degree that we're going to have to buy land. I don't know if we're going to be able to tell you with any degree of certainty if that's even, these developments may go up. We may find they have way more parking than they need.
Well, let me interject for a second. Mustafa mentioned at the last meeting, unfortunately he's not here tonight, that residents that live near him already are using John's parking lot.
Yes, across the street, right.
Yes.
He did.
Okay, now, envision if, because these other developments are going in with, the retail underneath and the apartments above, let's say the owners of John's decide they want to develop, to take everything down that's there and develop that lot, that huge lot, fully, and put parking in for their residents, and as it stands now, not even enough for retail. They want to buy some retail spots like the others have done. What's going to happen there?
I don't know what the degree that the people are parking. Is this, whenever I pass by that parking lot, it's almost entirely empty. I don't know, is it 2 cars or is it 100 cars?
No, I'm saying envision that changing. Let's say they want to put in 100 shops and 3 rows of apartments over them. and have parking for just their residents, and you're gonna have a very busy, area there.
Honestly, I don't mean this in a flippant way. If something like that was to happen, I think the benefit to Hamilton Street would far outweigh the parking, local parking crunch. And I think one of the best things that can happen to Hamilton Street is that John's Plaza gets developed with some type of mixed-use development that brings activity, things to do. That's the whole plan for Hamilton Street, is
No,
to
I
bring in things,
understand that.
bring in reasons why people want to go there.
But one of
Why
the
people want to live
problems
there.
that retail shops have is they have to have parking nearby to encourage the customers to come to them.
And I think one of the things, if they ever do come before you, that's one of the things that we're gonna have to look at, is to make sure that they are, first of all, they're gonna have to provide all of their parking, their residential on-site. all
Yes,
of
we've
it.
been
So-
requiring residential.
So something like, if that's not such a large site, there'd be hundreds
Yes.
upon hundreds of structured parking spaces that would be provided in a development of that scale. And it would include, it would absolutely include, we would insist that they have some portion of that provided for retail and for shared parking, just as we have on a much smaller scale, the ones that we have here. So there's definitely going to be parking for the retail employees and customers.
Well,
And it's so hypothetical, it's impossible for me to say what, but that's generally what we're looking at.
Let's maybe not have this discussion tonight in the absence of any data. So I think the discussion that you and Seal are having are highlighting the fact that we need, as a board, if we're going to discuss this, to have some sort of idea of what we're dealing with. And, if the Hamilton Street developments that we've had so far, to understand what the, parking demand is for, as Seal is concerned with, and rightfully so, the commercial part of it, the business part of it, what that would look like. And I think I'd like to understand, where we're collecting this money now, understand we're not going to be able to do what Somerville did, and for all the reasons that you outlined. So what are we using the money for? I think the board needs to understand that. But I'll entertain Ted and Alex, because they have raised their hands, but just let's not go through this tonight in the absence of some data. What I'd like to do is get numbers. I'd like to get some projections, like, well, based on the developable, what you see coming down the pike. And you're right, we're at the starting gate, right? We're in 2016. It's going to be very hard to project, but we've had a flood of these applications now that we've changed so maybe if you project, okay, well, if this were to happen over the next 4 or 5 years, here's the demand. I mean, if this money is just being used for like restriping or for sidewalks or configuration to create another space here, another space there, that kind of might not address the problem, and I think that's what Seal's worried about. But we don't know what it's being even used for, at least I don't, so.
Well, yeah, and I'll just,
But anyway,
we'll get
let's have
some
data.
figures for you, and we'll get that. But I think, just think about this thought when before we meet, which is, parking has to be provided one way or the other. You can't, the way that we're doing it is instead of, the fee is relatively low. I mean, the fee is like $3,000 a space. So the fee is not going to fund a significant amount of land to purchase and to build by the municipality. So really, it's basically the cost is equivalent to the cost of the asphalt and the striping to build it, but we've kind of taken out the acquisition cost. But one of the reasons we do that is because we're basically putting it on developers to provide the vast majority of their spaces on site. You can't, but you don't want to do both. You don't want to if you want this street to be revitalized, you can't make them build almost all of it on site and then charge them the equivalent of the land cost and the construction cost.
No, I understand.
So
But that's
there has
exactly
to be
what we
this
need to
balance.
understand. So if this $3,000 per space is being collected, what is it envisioned to be used for, if not land acquisition? So let's say the municipality acquires the land through some means. Then, we have the money for the asphalt and the striping. If we don't, then what are we using the money for? Because, when I was chair of the Shade Tree Commission, I had the same discussion with Carl, which is, we collect a fee for these trees, right? If you don't spend it, developers will come and say, what the hell, right? And so you need to spend the money on what you said you're gonna spend it on. I don't know what we said we're gonna spend it on, so I'm interested in knowing that, at any rate.
We'll get the figure. The figure's very low. We have not had any, it's 5 to 10,000 at this point.
Yeah,
It's
no,
really
that's-
not, because as of now, we haven't had any development. That's still kind of the whole purpose
We
why we're
know
doing it.
there's 3 big applications on the horizon that have, and I'm sure that if it got that popular that quickly after we changed the design standards, or not the design standards, but the
We could do
zoning
some
standards,
projections of
we're
what we might be able to
That's
get
what we
in
need,
the
is
future.
just to get an understanding.
Yep.
Ted, very quickly, and then Alex.
Couldn't we also,
Bob, I call it, Ted had his hand raised, so Ted, Alex, and then you, but make it fast.
I am concerned that our fee is only the cost of paving a space, and that there's not a provision for acquiring land. If the township already had land that it could project as a parking lot in the future, fine. But I think we should be thinking about this potential problem now, rather than when we have a real problem and the land is a lot more expensive. Sunday, I ran into someone I know who's recently been elected mayor of Allentown, and he said one of his problems was parking for downtown Allentown. I said, you think that's a problem? If you don't have a parking problem, that's worse, because that means your businesses are not doing well. We do not yet have a parking problem, but we may in the future, and it will be less of a problem if we think about it now. As the chairman has said, we don't even have data, but we have been approving applications where the applicants pay the fee for the parking lot, the business parking lots, the parking spaces they would be required to have for their retail stores and don't have. They've been paying for that. So we ought to at least know how many parking lots, parking spaces have already been paid for. I hope the money is being put in a trust fund and not put aside in some other way. And we might want to start trying to identify possible places to have parking lots. Right now, we're buffered by the John's parking lot and the Nora Shopping Center parking lot, neither of which are anywhere near full. But if we suddenly arrive at a point where there really is a parking problem, it will be very late to deal with it. But I agree with the chair that we can't make any projections until we have somewhat more data, and we might want to see how well if there is a successful shared parking at the new developments that are in the works, and I'm wondering when they're going to come back with their stormwater detention plans. We'll get an idea from that how much overlap there is and what the rate of increase of parking utilization is likely to be. But I do think we need to keep thinking about this.
Thanks, Ted. Alex?
I think looking at this parking issue, first of all, I recognize that perhaps we provided an incentive to the builders to pay certain amount, $3,000 or $2,500, so they don't have to build all the parking space that needed for their businesses and residents. And that's good, because we want to encourage the builders to come forward and hopefully develop that area of the town. And hopefully that'll continue more. But the question about the parking, I think one thing that can help at least me, and I'm sure our fellow board members as well, is if we really understand the street parking availability. You know, how many, I've heard that there are a lot of street parking available, don't worry about it. But I really think it will be good in your data that you're putting together, Mark, to come and tell us there's so many space available for street parking. And then based on that, when the new future development comes around, we can either accept the continuation of the fee, or we can say that they have to provide the full parking space. But that piece of puzzle, I think, will be great to have.
Okay.
Bob, Thomas?
Well, I agree that we should look at all the things that have been discussed. I also think we should get the Hamilton Street Business District Corporation involved in having them investigate and come up with solutions that they think will work. They're, for the most part, the people who have a lot of the money invested in the area. They probably know it, the ins and outs there better than any one of us here. And maybe if they have one or two people designated to work with the planning board on a parking issue, maybe if we talk to them, they don't see it even as an issue at this point. I don't know. But I think they're a stakeholder. I think we should include them in getting a solution.
That's a very good idea, very good. So before we move on to the lighting ordinance, I'm going to have to say that we have to do the subdivision of open space as a do-over.
We have to do it real quick.
And the reason is that Ted and Alex, as mayor's designee and as council people, should have recused themselves. I didn't catch that, but that's why we paid the big money to a planning board attorney who did.
And I apologize for not catching it quicker.
So what we
Well,
will,
the application is from the
Township.
township itself. You're a sitting council person in the township. Mr. Karazi is the mayor's designee. Since the application is from the township, you cannot sit on that application because you conceivably have an interest in that application as a member of the governing body.
yep.
It's,
So what we'll need to do is start from the point where we open to the public, and I wanted to do it now while the two members of the public who are here are still here, so that nobody could say, well, somebody left the room who might have had a vested interest in it. So that's why I wanted to get it out of the way right now.
Because you don't-
So I'll make a motion to reopen this to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody coming forward the second time that didn't feel like it the first? Seeing no one, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, come up. It maybe is a good thing.
Yes, there you go.
I don't even know if that's on.
It looks like it was on.
I
Just
think
bring
you
it
used
down.
it. It was.
Bring
I
it
don't know
down,
if
it
Mark
looks,
is on either.
just kick it like this, you know?
There you go.
No, I didn't see it.
Sir, if I could just have you state your name and spell your last name and give your address for the record?
Okay. My name is Ravana Smart. Last name S-M-A-R-T. My address is 70 Ray Street, Franklin Township.
Thank you, sir.
And I was wondering about the Hamilton Street revitalization.
I'm sorry,
I mean-
this is only for the subdivision of the open
Oh.
space.
Oh,
But what we can do is,
Yes.
if you're willing to wait a few more minutes,
yes.
I'll reopen to the public for general comments, and you can come back up and,
Okay.
and state that.
That'll be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
So given that, I move to close the public portion for the subdivision.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, so, once again, Seal, you made the original motion, so you can make it again. with the TRC.
Okay, move to approve with the condition of the TRC approval.
Second.
Carl Hauk,
Yes.
Seal MacGyver,
Yes.
Robert Mettler,
Yes.
Robert Thomas,
Yes.
Jennifer Rangnow, Godwin,
Yes.
Chairman Orsini.
Yes. Okay, since we do have a member of the public here who does want to speak, let's reopen that, and then we'll get to this lighting ordinance. Not going to take too long, right, Mark? No.
Second
So I
motion.
open the meeting to the public for general comment. Okay. We already have your name, we already have your address, so just go ahead.
Yes, the downtown Franklin, which is the Hamilton Street revitalization, and what's going around is that there are developers coming in, acquiring land for stores and housing, and is there a map available, or is there any?
Probably the best thing to do is you can come into the planning department at any point. We're open 7:30 to 4:30
Okay,
every day. We can go over that with you.
all righty.
There is documentation on our website. There was an ordinance, there was a master plan amendment, and there's maps and text to go along with that. So if you want to look, it is on franklintwpnj.org, and if you go to the Planning and Zoning Department, there's a link to the website, and look for the Hamilton Street Master Plan. That'll kind of give you a good overview of everything. And there is an ordinance that the council passed, but if you know, we have maps, we have the site plans that show you the developments that have been proposed.
Yes,
We can go through all of that with you.
Okay, because I was interested in the Franklin Township was going to revitalize the youth center, which is about a block away.
Yeah, you'd have to ask, probably the township manager is the best person to ask about that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I was trying to remember where I'd seen the map that specifically shows the properties that
There's
are
actually,
currently in development.
it's actually sitting over here.
Ah. Okay, even easier. I thought it was in the manager's conference room, but
So seeing no one else from the public coming forward, and make a move to close this public portion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Last bit of business, lighting.
Yeah, the lighting ordinance, this is was developed based on a model ordinance from Sustainable Jersey. It's prepared in cooperation with some members of the Township Green Team, which is the Sustainable Jersey group. Basically, it addresses minimizing light pollution and nuisance issues related to glare and lighting from commercial multifamily developments. You know, basically, all developments that come before the board for site plan approval. It largely, and I'm sure if I don't know if Carly had a chance to look at it, but I'm sure he could tell you, it basically codifies what we've already been doing since I've been here in terms of engineering, myself when I review plans, and the Environmental Commission, their comments. It's all towards having, containing the light to the site, having the light directed to the parking lot, to the degree that there is lighting for signage and other things, making sure that the lighting is aimed at the thing that it's meant to illuminate and not shine out onto neighbors. And there's a whole bunch of language to that effect in different circumstances where it addresses light pollution and nuisance. One of the things that's relatively new, but again, I think this really just codifies what we've already been doing. Under illumination requirements, there's standards now as to how much lighting, the minimum and maximum amount of lighting that could be provided in parking lots. And then also importantly, it has some ratios. So one of the important things we look at when we're looking at a lighting plan is we don't want to have really bright areas and really dark areas. So there's ratios in there to address that to as much as possible, have the lighting kind of be as uniform as possible. So that's basically it. We took the model ordinance. We didn't just take it and throw Franklin's name on it. It was reviewed by the township engineer, the zoning officer, myself, I prepared it, and again, it was reviewed by the green team. So it's, again, based on a model, but tailored to Franklin and basically how we already operate.
Okay, so, any board discussion about this? Otherwise, I mean, I feel comfortable, forwarding it on to council.
And it does
Or to
have,
Get it back yet again, but,
yeah, and it does have, because this has been mentioned a number of times before by this board, encouraging the use of energy-efficient lighting, including LED technology. So that's specifically in there.
Seal's very happy.
I knew that would make her happy.
If there's no other discussion, I'll move to approve sending it on.
And I would second that.
All right.
Do we need to actually affirm it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Abstain? None? So, yeah, all right. So, before we close tonight, Alex reminded me, and I think it's very appropriate, given all this discussion on Hamilton Street, to mention the passing of Pat Gianotto, the chair of the Hamilton Street Advisory Board, very recently and unexpectedly. So he was here as recently as March, talking about, and very excited about the development. So, I think everything we do on Hamilton Street, he was a tireless champion of Hamilton Street, and let's remember him and his family, and also remember him as we go forward and try to make Hamilton Street what I'm sure not only he, but all of us envisioned and hoped it would be. So with that, make a motion to adjourn.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye. How long is it?